Welcome back to the Baseball Show. Today we're talking prospects. You're watching Nickel Press TV. That's Ralph Lifshitz. I'm Andy Singleton. Thanks to everybody who's been watching these videos, subscribing, leaving your comments, liking them. Please continue to do so. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. You could also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. We're there. Tumblr even. We trying to cover all angles. So however you do your social media, let us know and we'll be sure to try to find you there. You can also get these episodes in podcast. So if you're looking for that, just search Nickel Press TV on iTunes or on Stitcher Radio. You can also subscribe to us on Podbean. Same deal. Please subscribe to the channel or however you download your podcast, and leave your comments there just the same. We appreciate all the feedback you want to give us. And with that, let's dive into my birthday present. This is 3 prospects, all on the best team in the universe. No, I'm just kidding. I am a Yankee fan, but I'm not.
That's fine. You should think that.
I'm not one of those crazy, irate, passionate fans. I'm more thrilled that we actually have 3 legitimate Yankee prospects to talk about. And we're only talking hitters today. We're not even getting into any of the pitchers. And there's more hitters that we could discuss as well besides the 3 we're talking about today. So it's been a long time coming since the Yankees have had depth in the organization. And it's kind of, a welcoming, refreshing, and rewarding feeling. So with that being said, let's just dive into it. This is going to be fun for me. Probably difficult for Ralph. Guy.
No, not at all.
But we'll see what happens. To kick things off, we were going to go with the largest man in pretty much any room he's ever in, and that's Aaron Judge. I personally was a Judge fan when he was possibly the best prospect in the system. But as I alluded to in this intro, have times changed. I don't know what to make of Judge anymore. I didn't think he was that great of a prospect before the influx of new guys. And now he's kind of gotten pushed to the back. But because he kind of got the name of being one of the Yankees' top prospects, people think he might be better than he is. It's not bad. He's just, I don't know. He's just not, he's a weird guy to figure out. He strikes out way too much. He doesn't hit nearly as many home runs as people think he should or expect him to or want to believe he would be able to. And he doesn't have a lick of speed. I take that back. Maybe a lick of speed, but he's not going to do anything for you in the stolen base category with his 1 or 2 per year. Surprisingly, with all that negativity, he is a career 278 hitter in the minors. So maybe things still can change, but it doesn't really add up to what the dream is for him. So, like I said, it really the numbers just are odd. The number of times he strikes out, yet the pretty good batting average, the lack of power for a giant. He's an enigma to me. So, Ralph, what's your take on Judge? And is he somebody that you're buying into, especially in a dynasty league or even a redraft, because he's going to get some at-bats, or he should get some at-bats with the big club this year?
Well, I think he's a guy that has always been a lot of fun to dream on. You look at him, a guy like that with that sort of just mammoth power in Yankee Stadium. You saw it with the historic debut of him and Tyler Austin going back-to-back. He hit some monster homers. You also saw, some of his issues, which is his insane swing and miss stuff at times. He just didn't look ready for the level. He also really struggled when he was brought up to AAA, Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and he really struggled for almost a year, and then sort of things clicked last season, and he sort of just went on a tear until he was had an injury. The injury shut him down for a month, then came back. Was hit again in the minors or in AAA in the International League for a couple of weeks, and then got called up to New York. He has the power. I think it's all there. There's a lot of guys like this that it takes a long time for him to figure out. It took David Ortiz a while to figure it out. It took, same name and obviously great players, but Jose Bautista a while to figure it out. It took Edwin Encarnacion a little time to figure it out. So, is he Willie Mo Pena, who never figured it out, or is he one of those sort of guys? So, he did it at AAA. He sort of figured it out, and I think the same thing could happen here. He's a big guy. He's got a long swing, but he's got huge power. I know a lot of these projection things like Steamer, I think has him projected for 20 plus homers. I think he's somebody you can get at the end of drafts, and he's got some upside. He's got something to dream on still. He's a huge guy. I mean, he's like Dave Winfield big. And when he makes contact, I mean, he makes some serious loud contact. I mean, in the minors, I mean, this guy was a serious slugger. Really hit homers and hit for power everywhere he was. But he had that sort of bad blip in AAA. Wondering if maybe his early on in his MLB career, he's pressing a little bit, and things just hadn't necessarily clicked. So where do I find him? In redraft leagues, he's a guy maybe I'll take a chance on with like my last pick if he's available there, or a late pick. I think he's got something, some upside. At worst, you dump him. In dynasty leagues, I wouldn't trade too much for him, but because of how bad the debut was, I mean, I bet you could have traded Gary Sanchez and gotten a lot less return than you would have for Aaron Judge a year ago at this time, or 2 years ago at this time. But there's been, obviously a complete, break from there in value. So I don't know, maybe if you believe in Judge and you want some power to dream on, maybe you're a Jorge Soler fan, and you believe in this guy too. You want to own both of them. I don't know, maybe somebody to take a chance on, but I wouldn't sell anything that was legitimate for him. And if I owned him, I wouldn't want to sell low right now. I'd be holding in dynasty leagues. I actually own him in a few leagues. I am holding and hoping he plays a full year as the Yankees right fielder and has a great year and a breakout. Maybe he hits 30 homers. I mean, he's got the ability to do it. He's got the power.
Yeah, I think when you've mentioned Steamer's projections are usually conservative. When they have him at 20 plus, that just screams out, inaccurate to me. The other troubling thing, this was a college guy. He's going to be 25 in April, which is starting to get old for a guy to, really kind of make his debut. Not to say it's impossible, but for you to even whisper him in the same breath as guys like David Ortiz, Jose Bautista, and Edwin Encarnacion, he's much more Willie Mo Pena than the three of those guys, at least at this point in time. That being said, could it all change? Of course it could all change. Anything could all change. You could get a Tommy John surgery and come back like, what was the movie? The Rookie with, Harry Rowan Gardner or whatever. And you could be, in the majors.
Rosenbagger.
Right. So, I mean, anything is possible. But we're starting to get to the point where does it translate or not? You hear people talk a lot about, in-game power as opposed to raw power. And, some guys just never figure it out. And that's okay. He probably will get a chance. As I mentioned, he does have some other positive tools, but it's not something I would encourage chasing. And I think Ralph said the same. So let's leave Aaron Judge alone. We've talked about him far longer than I thought we would. We got two more guys that are probably going to enjoy even more attention. Well, the next two guys are probably going to enjoy even more attention and talk and interest, and that is Big Red, Clint Frazier, another outfielder. He's the former 5th overall pick of the 2013 draft, who was acquired in a deadline deal with the Cleveland Indians. Now, I was blown away that the Yankees were able to flip Andrew Miller for Frazier straight up, never mind getting a few other solid pieces in return as well, most notably Justice Sheffield. I mean, Frazier is that big of a name, and he has that big of a game. He's still just 22 and has already shown he has big league power with a good command of the strike zone. The upside for this kid is a 300 hitter with 30-plus home runs, 15-plus steals, all the things we talked about with Christian Yelich in the outfielder episode we did this week that, that Ralph says I'm dreaming on that being Yelich's ceiling. This is potentially Frazier's floor. The kid, maybe I'm overselling it a little being a Yankee fan, but I really believe, this is one of those guys, the sky's the limit for him. He hasn't had problems at any level he's been at to this point. He only got 30 games at AAA last season, but he's looking every bit like a prime candidate to come up this year and relatively soon. So, you're probably not going to be able to afford this guy as far as like trying to trade for him. It's either you own him or you don't. So we're looking more like a redraft situation. Is this guy worth taking? I don't know if it's worth taking this year, but I'm very, very intrigued. And he's a fun kid. He's an easy kid to root for as well.
Yeah.
So you tell me, what am I wrong with when I start getting googly eyed about Clint Frazier?
I think your floor was a little. I mean, was it a floor? You said 30 homers, 15 steals,
It
or
was
something
a
like that. I mean, I thought that was a little high. But
it was a
um,
fleeling.
the thing with Frazier is, I mean, he's got all the tools, as you said. He's got a good hit tool. He needs to cut down on the strikeouts. So I mean, he had some serious swing and miss issues during his brief time in AAA. With the rail splitters, I believe it is, right? And that didn't show great, and he started to sort of wear down in the second half this season. He had a very good first half when he was with Akron, which was the Double A affiliate for the Cleveland Indians. It came over in the Miller trade. I think his hype is sort of up there because he's a very marketable potential, New York personality. He's got the big red hair. He's like, ripped up. He's almost like if a Greek god was Irish, he's like a Celtic folk hero or something. But the kid's got skills. I mean, he has 55 to 60 grade hit tool, 55 to 60 grade power, probably about 55 grade speed. I don't think he's a 60 grade guy, but he could potentially offer. I see more like 15, 20 upside, and then potentially the power could grow. And I think once he hits his prime power years, he's probably not going to run as much. He's going to develop more into a middle of the order bat, but he has to fix his contact issues. He's the king of bat speed. I mean, this guy has the quickest bat you've ever seen. Got a little bit of a hitch in his swing too. I think if he can fix that, it's a small tweak. I think this is a guy that potentially you could unlock, like you said, an absolute all-world player sort of ability. But I don't think the floor is 30 home runs. I think the floor is like, an 18 to 20 homer guy with some speed. That's like, a good two hitter or a six hitter in your lineup. If, he hits the ceiling, this is a middle of the order, perennial all-star kind of player. He's got ability. Was a first round pick a few years ago, was out of that same Georgia high school class that produced Austin Meadows, actually.
I don't know if
From
the
the same
flickering.
town.
Yeah, you mentioned that when we covered Austin Meadows, and um, very interesting, side note. But I don't know if the flickering lights are, making you feel a certain way or distorting your perception of reality. You said he's not a 30 home run guy, more of an 18 to 20, yet a perennial all star.
I said it's ceiling versus floor. I think
You,
there's a wider range of outcomes.
I'm only teasing you, but is is an 18 to 20 home run guy a perennial all star? I don't know.
No, I'm saying that's what his floor is. He wouldn't be a perennial all-star. If he's a perennial all-star, then he's not that two or that six hitter. He's more of that middle of the order bat because he develops that 30 home run pop. He could do it. He needs to hit. He needs to hit. He hits too many ground balls. He needs to hit a lot more fly balls. And he needs to fix that hitch in the swing. He's got to stop striking out as much as he does. But I think it's tweaks there. The package is there. The tools are there. It's no different than Yohan Moncada. Yohan Moncada has the tools to be a 30 home run hitter, but is he going to be a 30 home run hitter right away? Probably not. It's going to be the same thing with Frazier. I think he can develop into that. So I think, his floor years are going to be more like, between 15 and 20 homers, and he'll probably be a little bit higher on the speed side. I think once he develops 30 home run pop, he's not going to run. I just don't think he's going to run anymore.
You keep alluding to once he develops 30 home run power, so you admit he has it.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely has the ability to hit 30. I mean, it's there. It's not like Yelich. Yelich, I don't think is a 30 home run guy, but I think that Frazier obviously has 30 home run ability. I mean, look at him. He's a beast. He's got bat speed to, like, I don't know. He could kill so many different things with his bat speed. Just name an animal, he could probably kill it.
You called him a big red-headed Irish superhero, so I would imagine
pretty much.
he could. I hate to, push the phrase he was young for the level.
He was.
Because sometimes I feel like that number is a little skewed, but he has been very young at every level. So I love the potential with Frazier, and I'm just super elated, excited that he's a New York Yankee. So
I had him sixth in my midseason top 100 prospects, so I obviously love the guy.
There you go. Well, pawning off another closer to another World Series bound team. GM Brian
So
Cashman
you
was
got
able
back.
to obtain, yeah, so we got back. Brian Cashman was able to obtain yet another top 20 overall prospect in Gleyber Torres. This goes back to a couple years for me. I was amazed when the Cubs, who still had Starlin Castro with the big league club, and Javier Baez making noise in the minors. When they went out and traded for Addison Russell, I was kind of shocked and blown away by that. I thought it was an embarrassment of riches. And then that year, their 2013 Venezuelan prodigy, Torres, started to quickly gain attention. And, you know, unfortunately for him, he was just as quickly becoming trade bait because they had this depth. You saw them move Starlin Castro. You saw them move Baez to a different position. Russell's right now retained the shortstop role, but they're all young. So Torres really was more of a trade chip more than anything else. With that being said, again, he's another player. I'm happy he's in New York. I'm happy he's in the Yankee farm system, but he's just a prospect. And, you know, I'm telling everybody, pinch yourself, remind yourself he's just a prospect. There's a long way to go. Was he too much to pay for a rental? I think the Rings and Cubs fans would emphatically say no. But is he really going to be that special? I'm still a little unsure. He hasn't shown a ton of power yet, but he also just turned 20 years old. He hasn't stolen an insane amount of bases, but he's done 20 plus twice in a row now. The biggest hurdle to me is that he hasn't played above high A yet. So, you know, I'm not saying any of this to in any way diminish what he has the potential to be. And again, I'm elated as a Yankee fan, but I think people are hearing his name and lumping him into the Correa, Seager, Bogarts, and Lindor tier. And I don't believe he's quite at that level, and I don't know if he ever will be at that level, which is not to say he'll be a bad player, but I think people are starting to think that this guy is an otherworldly shortstop in the mold of, you know, the top 4 or 5 I just mentioned. You know, I would temper those thoughts on him a little bit.
Yeah, I think the thing with Gleyber Torres is he's got the real world baseball community in a clamor. They love this guy. This guy's going to be so high on like Baseball America's top 100, with respect to some of the MLB once that drops. All these lists are going to have Gleyber Torres in the top 10. I shit you not, it's absolutely going to happen. The thing with Torres is he had this huge Arizona Fall League. I mean, he went absolutely bananas in the Arizona Fall League, was the MVP of the league, was playing great defense at short and at second base. I think long term, he's probably going to be the second baseman because I do like DD, so I imagine they're going to stick around with him. And then, you know, Jorge Mateo, regardless of what you think of him, I'm not a big fan, but I think he probably ends up getting moved into the outfield. So Torres could end up being, you know, a very solid up the middle player. Real life wise, he is a great prospect. The hype machine is in full effect in this guy, though. You hear the Carlos Correa comps. I mean, you hear some silly comps. I mean, I saw like a prospect video of like some Yankees website that, I mean, it was like insane, the stuff that they were saying. They were like, this guy could play in the big leagues now. I was like, no, I don't think he could play in the big leagues now. I think he needs a couple more years of seasoning. He showed very well in the Arizona Fall League. That boosted his stock. He's gotten better every year. He's a very instinctual baseball player. You know, he's a great base runner, not because he has great speed, but because he knows how to steal bases. So I think he'll always steal some bases at the next level, probably be more like 15, potentially 20. And I think the home run power continues to get better. Ball was much last year, and he had a much better season. You know, I think from the first 2 months on, you know, look at from like June on, you know, his year was much better because he stopped pulling it as much. He was hitting to all fields. He's really learned how to hit. He kind of has the art of hitting down. I think the power could potentially develop. He's a very interesting prospect, but I think, like you said, the hype is in full effect in this guy. So if you own him, I would certainly be taking some offers on him because you might be getting some insane trade offers right now in your dynasty leagues if you're a Gleyber Torres owner.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And again, this is not to say anything about his real life status. You know, hopefully, you know, there's a billion Yankee fans, so hopefully each and every one of you is watching this video right now don't turn it off and think they're bad-mouthing Gleyber Torres. How could you?
No.
Not saying that at all. Just, and I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, but speaking of Venezuela, Omar Vizquel was a phenomenal major league shortstop. Was decent for fantasy. Wasn't the number one guy you were going to target. Would we agree on that?
Some great fantasy years.
He did have some great fantasy.
He slept on.
Okay. He did have some great fantasy. Should I take that whole thing back now?
Nah, you could keep it. I think Gleyber's got more pop, though.
Okay, and that's the dream. But again, you said the Correa comps, all that kind of stuff. Would you put him in that tier? Would you put him at that level? What would you rather have? 3 years from now. 3 years from now.
Correct.
Would you rather have Correa, Torres, Seager, Trey Turner, Lindor. Bogarts?
It's funny. I'm going to be scorned by Boston fans, but I think in 3 years there might be a chance I want Torres more than I want Bogarts. I like Bogarts, but of that group he just named, I'd want to own Turner over him, obviously. I'd want to own Seager over him, obviously. Lindor over him. And,
okay. You're proving my point. You're proving my point.
Yeah, absolutely. And Correa to me is like, in a dynasty league, I have some thoughts that I could potentially take him number one overall.
Yes.
So, I'm still a huge Correa fan. So even though I know he had the down year, he's a very good player. But it's the renaissance of the shortstop position. There's a lot of good shortstops that have come up in the last few years, and Torres might be the next big one to come up, unless you're a J.P. Crawford guy. But I think that Torres has such helium right now, as people like to say in the prospect community. He's a guy you have to just take some trade offers on. Just see what people are offering you, because you might be able to really stock up based on what his market value is right now. I mean, it's through the roof.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're going to wrap things up. We apologize for taking a little bit longer, but this is, of course, the Yankees. So hopefully there's more people, in tune and tuned in right now. If this is your first time watching, we want to thank you. You can go back and check our player library, where we have each player that we've covered individually isolated in their own video. So you can just watch those, scroll through it alphabetically. You can pick and choose whatever players you want to talk about. We talk about 3 pitchers, 3 hitters, and 3 prospects, all in separate episodes. So you can go back and watch the full episodes in their entirety. We would advise you to go right now, if you're a Gleyber Torres owner, and immediately put him on the trade block in your league. But before you do that, make sure to go and click the subscribe button to our channel, Nickel Press TV. You can also click on the notification alert, so anytime we release a new video, you'll get that as well. Don't forget to like the video, leave your comments, let us know what you liked, let us know what you didn't like, let us know how you think we can improve these episodes and what you might like to see differently. That's going to do it for this week. That's Ralph Lifshitz. I'm Andy Singleton. Appreciate you being here. Lights out. Bad guys out.